Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're going somewhere pretty forbidding, a small patch of land off the Pacific coast of Colombia.
An island with a name that says it all, really.
It really does. It was named after the mythological creature whose gaze can turn men to stone. We're talking about Gorgona Island, a place that has, well, absolutely earned its nickname, Snake Island.
And it's one of those rare cases where the myth doesn't even come close to the reality. So our mission today is to dig into why. What historical, biological, and ecological factors made this tiny, incredibly wet tropical island an epicenter for venomous snakes.
Right, and why it's still so dangerous, even today. We've been looking at some incredible material on the island's biodiversity, but also its really dark human history, which just seemed to amplify the fear.
And we also have info from some recent expeditions that were actually looking for the island's, let's call it its primary weapon, its most infamous resident.
And that would be the fer-de-lance, Bothrops asper.
Exactly. This isn't just some dangerous snake. You have to understand, it is consistently ranked as the most medically significant viper in all of Central and South America.
So if you want to understand danger, just, perfectly distilled into a camouflage pattern, this is it.
This is where you start.
To really get a sense of this threat, I think we have to go back in time first. Way back, like 500 years back.
We do. We have to go to 1527. You have Francisco Pizarro, the Spanish conquistador. He's pretty early in his whole search for gold and riches.
And he's having a rough time of it.
A very rough time. He'd been fighting local tribes, his men were getting sick, so he decides to use this island as a kind of safe haven for a few months, a place to rest and recover.
Except it wasn't a sanctuary. It was, as he put it, an inferno.
Yeah, and the crucial part is he didn't lose his men to battles. He didn't lose them to disease while they were there.
He lost them to bite.
To snake bites.
Yeah.
Constantly. The danger was hidden, it was everywhere, and it was absolutely lethal.
That experience just completely terrified him.
It did. So much so that he's the one who renames it Gorgona, after the Greek Gorgons, like Medusa with snakes for hair.
Which tells you everything you need to know about the sheer terror his men must have felt. Just stepping into the forest to look for food was a life-or-death gamble.
And that struggle, that history, it leads us right to the animal that was causing the problem then, and the one that still defines the whole ecosystem today.
The Bothrops asper.
Also called the terciopelo. It is the absolute icon of Gorgona.
When you hear most medically significant, I think you instinctively picture some giant king cobra or something, but this viper is surprisingly small.
It is. It's only about 1 meter long, usually. And its size is really part of its strategy. It's all about stealth.
It just vanishes.
Completely. It blends in perfectly with the dead leaf litter on the jungle floor, making it almost impossible to see, and terrifyingly easy to accidentally step on. It's a perfect ambush predator.
And it's a pit viper. That's a key detail, right? Those heat-sensing pits near its mouth.
Oh, absolutely crucial. That's how it locates its target with such precision. Even if it's dark or the prey is under debris, it can find the perfect spot to strike.
And that strike is fast.
Unbelievably fast. We're talking 0.22 seconds. That is so much faster than a human can possibly react. Before your brain even registers there's a snake, it's over.
And then the venom. What does it actually do?
Well, it's designed to kill small prey very, very quickly. Once it's injected, it causes this rapid destruction of blood cells. It leads to severe internal bleeding and tissue death. Necrosis.
It's a brutal, brutal mechanism.
Brutal, but incredibly effective for taking down a rodent instantly.
What's really fascinating to me is how their whole strategy changes as they grow up.
Right. They show what's called caudal luring when they're young. The little snakelings, they hunt things like geckos and anoles.
And how do they do that?
They use their skinny little tail tip, which is a different color, and they wiggle it around like it's a worm. It lures the prey right to them. We also know they now prey on the introduced western basilisk, which has become a big part of their juvenile diet.
And then when they mature?
They switch, mostly to rodents, spiny rats, agoutis, and sometimes birds. But the strategy is the same. Hide under the leaves and wait.
So that constant hidden danger on the jungle floor, that's just the reality of Gorgona.
It is. And that reality was amplified 100 times over when the island entered its next dark chapter. The prison years.
The Alcatraz of Colombia.
Exactly. Between 1959 and 1984, Gorgona was turned into this maximum security prison. And, well, this human experiment had a catastrophic environmental cost on top of all the human suffering.
Because the inmates were forced to clear the jungle. Just massive deforestation to collect wood, make furniture.
Yeah, the island is still recovering from it. And that forced labor, it created the absolute perfect storm for human-snake conflict.
You had prisoners forced into the jungle, often at night, chopping wood, moving all that ground litter around.
Which put them in direct, repeated contact with the perfectly camouflaged Bothrops asper.
The numbers are just horrifying. Sources say over 150 people died during those years, and a lot of those deaths were from snake bites.
The prisoners even had a name for one area near the jail. They called it the Path of Death.
It's just the ultimate irony. You've got electrified fences to keep people in, forcing them to live side by side with these lethal predators just waiting on the ground.
It really shows what happens when humans just crash into an ecosystem like that. Thankfully, the old jail is now a national park. They use ecotourism to fund conservation, and the forest is coming back.
But the Bothrops asper is still there. It remains the biggest threat to the park rangers and the few visitors who go there.
It's the headliner, for sure.
But it's not the only predator on the island, not by a long shot. There's this whole supporting cast of hunters with completely different strategies.
Oh yeah, if the fer-de-lance is invisible death, then you have the coral snakes. They're more like loud death.
The capuchin and the red-tailed coral snakes.
Right. They're also ground hunters from the Mucurus genus, but what stands out immediately is that bright warning coloration.
Which is the total opposite of the fer-de-lance. It's basically advertising, stay away from me.
Exactly. That color makes them way easier to spot and avoid. They hunt small reptiles in the leaf litter, and while they do sometimes bite people, their venom is completely different.
How so?
Instead of that tissue-destroying venom of the pit viper, coral snake venom is paralytic. It causes breathing difficulties, even asphyxiation, so it's just as serious. But that visual warning gives you a chance to just back away.
And then if you look up into the trees, the danger just continues.
In the canopy, yeah. You've got specialized hunters like the parrot snakes.
The Laura and the Cope's parrot snake.
Yep. They are perfectly camouflaged up in the branches, long, skinny, almost 2 meters long, but you'd never see them. They specialize in eating reptiles and eggs. The Cope's is technically venomous, but its venom is pretty mild, not a serious threat to a healthy adult.
But not all the power on this island comes with venom. We have to talk about the big one.
The Colombian boa. Boa constrictor imperator. It's now recognized as its own species. You can tell it apart by its reddish tail. It's a non-venomous powerhouse.
And it's crucial for the ecosystem.
Right. Absolutely essential for controlling those same rodent populations that the fer-de-lance hunts. It just shows you that power doesn't always need a toxic payload.
And then there's this one incredible, almost mythical sighting of the vine snake.
The oxybalis. For a while, scientists didn't know if they were the common Mexican vine snake or something totally new. And then there was this one rare observation.
Get this. Someone saw one of these snakes, possibly the new species, Oxybalis transcendinus, levitating up into the treetops with a basilisk lizard clamped in its mouth.
That detail, the levitation, that unique movement, is actually being used to help confirm its species identification. It's just a remarkable piece of field science.
It just proves how much we still have to discover on this one tiny island.
It really does, and it begs the question, why? Why does this small, isolated place support such a dense population of lethal, specialized, and, unique reptiles?
It sounds like such a hard place to live, and yet they're all thriving.
It's a perfect storm of geography and climate. First, it's right near the Choco rainforest ecoregion, which is one of the wettest places on Earth. It rains constantly.
So there are no lean months.
Never. There's always a stable supply of food. Second, isolation is huge. It's just far enough from the mainland for endemic species like the famous blue anole to evolve on their own.
And maybe the most important part.
No large mammalian predators. There are no jaguars, no ocelots. This vacuum allows amphibians and reptiles to just flourish without that constant pressure.
Add in the thousands of streams from all that rain, and you've got this perfectly hydrated, stable ecosystem.
And it goes way beyond snakes. The Pacific Ocean right there is incredibly nutrient-rich. It brings in massive species.
Which creates this amazing contrast. You have the tiniest deadly viper on land and these huge creatures in the water.
Humpback whales. They migrate here from Antarctica during their winter just to give birth and nurse their calves in these warm, sheltered waters. The mothers fast for months until they head south again. It just shows this isn't just Snake Island. It's a powerful wildlife haven.
The whole system just works. The abundance of prey, the lizards, the rodents, and the constant rain cycle just ensures this incredibly stable, productive environment for everyone.
From the stealthy Bothrops asper to the boas that keep everything in check.
Which brings us to our final takeaway for you. We've gone from Pizarro's deadly stay and the Medusa story all the way through the horrifying prison years defined by the speed and venom of the Bothrops asper. And we've uncovered this incredible diversity of other hunters, from the colorful corals to that mystery vine snake.
And today, the island is this model of conservation. The national park, the ecotourism, it all supports the recovery and protects the dedicated park guides who have to live with these dangers every single day. It's a real testament to adaptation, both for the animals and for the people.
When you look at this place, an environment that was defined by its brutality for centuries, and see how it's recovering, how it's thriving, it offers a really fascinating perspective.
And it raises an important question for all of us. If a constantly raining, snake-infested island, once ravaged by deforestation, can so quickly support such a dense, unmanaged, and thriving ecosystem, what does that model of survival teach us about conservation elsewhere?
You can take a deep dive into places that challenge what we think paradise or danger even means.
And very often, that's where you find the blueprint for how nature heals itself.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.